Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy Viewers. We are back with a roster update video, and we return after a brief little hiatus where I was just really busy with real life responsibilities, and it was actually very welcome on my end for CG to have messed up the territory battles and given me a little extra time over the last week. Now with these videos, our basic structure here, Marquees and Unlocks. Then we're going to look at progress towards major projects, then anything related to crons, whether that be the crons themselves, Amis, datacrons, or relics that will take advantage of those things, and then other weaknesses, and then ships, pilots, those types of related things if they come up. First thing we're going to do before we start dropping gear is establish the context here for our gear hoard. Now the specifics don't matter. If you do want to see the specifics though, head over to the Discord. There's going to be a clear screenshot there that you can look. All that matters for our purposes in this video is just understanding that the colors are gear that I am in deficit of. Everything else in gray, we have a surplus. And what you can see is that I largely have a surplus on everything that I'm currently working towards except for Kairos and signal data. And it's not that bad where I'm at. And we also have some carbonite circuit boards, but those are easy to come by with crystals. We just got to, this is a reality. But everything else, even before Jar Jar, even before we get Rat Tail Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon, we are in a position now, we are basically ahead of the game. And that is going to become stronger and faster. We're really getting some momentum now where I can start working on luxury projects without affecting new content coming into the game. And that is probably going to become stronger and stronger as we go on, because right now it essentially means that I can be pretty guilt-free about anything that I want to do except for signal data. But what that signal data means is while I am farming the signal data, I am just building up larger and larger surpluses on all of the relic materials or all of these common Gear 12 plus materials, where we already have surpluses of about 100 on each of the pieces. Those are going to become very sustainable surpluses of multiple hundreds very soon, because we've got weeks now where raid after raid, I'm just going to be able to build and compound all of these resources. Now to start dropping our gear hoard onto these characters, beginning with these marquee releases, now working towards Jar Jar Binks, that means we are looking at these new Gungan characters where 4 stars gear 11 is where we are with Nas, Tarpals, and Boomadir. Phalanx needs to join that status, him being the most recent addition. And with him, we're going to drop down these Omegas very quickly. I like to save these for the videos. These are all, they're not too complicated. Like that's not a big, it helps. There's a lot of synergy there, not a big deal. Could just do these right away, but the Zeta we will put on. I generally put these on right away. And these days, most new characters with their Zetas, the Zetas are pretty good. It's tough to find a character who I think has an outright skippable Zeta. CG's done a much better job of making these Zetas worth it on any new character these days. So we will now take him up to Gear 11 for all the testing that we do. So far, I would say in 3v3, Phalanx was needed. Because of how he's able to keep the shield generator alive and how he starts taunting when you attack the shield generator with multiple attacks, that was very much lacking when I was doing the Tarpals, Nas, and Boomadir testing. But unfortunately, we're going to have to wait till next 3v3 to see any of that. We'll be able to do some 4 versus 5 testing during this 5v5 season we have coming up. Now we are going to put on any of these non-Cairo abilities. Kairos, we are still in deficit in, even though it's not a major deficit, but there's a lot of different things that we're going to want to work towards. So this is good enough for now on Phalanx. Now Phalanx was the most recent marquee character, but we do have a new recent marquee that we are actively farming with STAP. We've got him up to 5 stars, I believe now, with the amount of shards that we've been able to do. I've been having some good days, bad days with the farming. Generally, I don't really pay too much attention to the drop rates. unless we're getting close to an event, and then I pay a little bit more attention. But generally, Cantina farms are very fast. So 5 stars for Phalanx right now. Probably another couple weeks and we'll be done. It's going to be pretty fast. Now we're at 34 out of 85 here. So far with my Gear 11 testing of STAP at 3 stars, I would say my results are pretty inconclusive. And I did put down the Omicron, because I did think the Omicron was pretty decent. But everything that he's been doing with General Grievous, they've been winning battles that Grievous would have won regardless. So I don't really feel like he's moved the needle on the squad, at least at low stars. At higher stars, maybe we'll start seeing a little bit different results, maybe as soon as this 5v5 season. Now for the biggest major unlock and biggest major project we are working towards, we're talking about Bo-Katan Mandalore. It's been a week since her unlock, but I don't do any gearing during the off week with the first week of Conquest. It doesn't affect anything. We just wait until Grand Arena starts up again before we do the gearing. So now we're going to actually drop this gear so that we can actually use her in testing. Now I do have her Datacron ready to go, but we're still going to stop at Gear 11 because I want to see what we can do with the Gear 11 Bo-Katan Mandalore, because this is what I like to do on the channel. Not everybody is going to have the Kairos to take a character up quickly right away. I want to show at least for a week what these characters can do at these lower levels. Now we'll take her up next week to Relic 5 so that we can do some Datacron testing, at least get 2 weeks of Datacron usage. Not ideal, but I think that has more value in the long term, because you can go to other channels, see what she's doing with the Datacron. But most other channels are skipping over Gear 11 play, so that I think is going to be a much better use of our time, showcase what she can do here. Now Zeta again, this one, debuff, deal true damage. It's pretty good. Because she's a multi-Zeta character, I'm going to take a little bit more care on thinking about which ones I want to put on. Mass assist twice, that is pretty good. Leadership we're definitely going to do. We don't even need to reconsider it. That's going to always be worth it. And then here, okay, we got Amis as well. These I need to think about for a moment. All right, this is what we're going to do. We are going to put on the Leadership Ami. That at a minimum is pretty safe to place on. We don't need to think about it. Leader characters in general, that is going to be one of the more valuable options, and we are just going to put these Zetas on. This is why we have been hoarding. This one though I'm a little less interested in, but with a high quality character like this, we still want to give her the best opportunities. This one I think is a much better Zeta. True damage, cooldown reduction, all that stuff is highly valuable. And then we'll drop down some of these major gear pieces, but we're going to leave off Kairos to maximize flexibility in other places. We'll use her with 5 dot mods for the week, and these finishers we'll put on just leaving the Kairos off. And then next week we'll be back and we'll take her up to Relic 5. Next recent major project progress that we've been working on is with Lord Vader. We got the ultimate now, so we need to drop that so we can finally make him more usable, because actually his utility, we did a couple weeks now of playing with Lord Vader without the ultimate, and I don't like it. I do not recommend it. It was not useful pretty much at all. We did a couple things with it, but he's not like JML. He's much closer to like Sith Eternal Emperor with utility, where without the ultimate, it's not really a viable character. So I am glad to be past that period. We're trying to be careful with crystals though, so we kind of slow played it. There's just a lot of things needing crystals right now, so it's very easy to go. Well, it's because of the Gungans, because we've been buying packs with our crystals to get those 4-star Gungans. But that fortunately is over. I can be a little bit less frugal with our crystals and maybe do some other things moving forward. So that takes care of our Marquees Unlocks, our major project progress with Bo-Katan Mandalore and Lord Vader, and we've even done a little bit of Omicron work with the Ami on Bo-Katan Mandalore. Datacrons we're not touching. I haven't made any new unlocks since this conquest started. We had all of this from last conquest where I went pretty crazy. We're going to fill this out with more Datacrons over the course of the final week of this conquest, but I'm happy with the level 9 9s where we might re-roll a couple of these lower levels, but we're not getting any additional level 9s. We are pretty good. So it's really a question of, am I going to do anything else on this video? I was just thinking through the various things that we've been working on, some of the luxury projects that we've been thinking about, like Darth Treya is a major one. I would like to take her up to relics so that I can make some of those Treya counters work a little bit more reliably for me, like up against Sir Jundo. That would be very valuable, but I actually think a higher relic Nihilus might be better, but that's really the only one I'm considering right now for this video. The other character that I'm considering is taking Darth Bane up to Relic 7, but I think I want to do a week of Relic 5 testing because we've only done Relic testing on Bane in 3v3. The previous week or so of Bane was at Gear 11 in 5v5, so I think I want to do a week of 5v5 testing at Relic 5. And then the rest of this, I honestly think I'm going to hold off on. I think I just want to give myself another week to think about things. None of these just feel all that important to me. It really would be like Ahsoka Fulcrum, Cal Kestis, like Grief Karga. Just nobody that really matters all that much right now. Like Super Commando, that's another one I'd be considering for right now. And all those don't feel pressing. They can wait a week. If I was flush on Kairos, it would be a different thing, but Kairos are really the only thing I want to be careful on. So I think I'm actually pretty satisfied. Just Marquees and the progress on our recent major unlocks is pretty satisfying to me, and we're going to see some potentially nice things in this next week of 5v5. We finished 3v3, 5 and 4 for the season. We're still fairly close to Kyber 1, where a strong week might be enough to push us through that barrier. Now, obviously, we're not going to be competitive in Kyber 1, but right now, my goal is just to break through, and I'm fine to go 0-3 and come back down and have a strong week in Kyber 2 the week after. But thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.